Hello everyone and welcome to my brand new channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you do like my video, please like it. If you would like to follow my content, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to keep in touch with all of you. And without further ado, let's have a look at what I have in store for you today. Let me tell you why I joined Booktube at this stage in my life. I've been reading for all of my adult life essentially, and I just recently, about a year ago, started to follow a couple of booktubers that I absolutely love. And I've noticed that the community is really so supportive. There is such an outpour of love for both books, authors, booktubers, and any type of positive emotion that can be transferred over through YouTube videos. I just wanted to join into that emotion, so I'm happy to be here. When I decided to start my booktube channel, the first thought that popped into my mind was, which type of video should I start with first? I mean, I have a couple of ideas lined up, and it's the end of the year, so there's quite a few good ideas that I can work around with. However, it is the end of the year. Christmas is almost here, and I do have to say I'm still like a small kid with Christmas. I'm absolutely obsessed with the holidays. It's my favorite time of year. So what's a better idea than to start off with a Christmas themed video where I can recommend a couple of holiday themed books. It will get you in the mood to grab your fuzzy socks, to put on your Christmas pajamas, to decorate your house, to grab your hot chocolate and just enjoy a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the recommendations I have for you today. The first book that I picked is by Christina Lauren. The book is called Holidaze. It's quite a popular book. If you're around the book community, you probably have heard about this book before. And obviously Christina Lauren are some of the most famous authors on the market for romance themed books. This book specifically I picked because I'm familiar with Christina Lauren's books, and what better way to start off a video than to pick up a book by authors you're familiar with and you know you're probably going to love. So Holidaze is about May, who essentially is on her annual Christmas trip with her family and friends. They frequent this magical cabin at a wonderful Christmassy location. They have these Christmas traditions that they follow every year. So the Christmas setting is absolutely top notch. I would definitely recommend it to get you into the Christmas vibes. It definitely made me feel like I wanted to already grab my fuzzy socks, put on my Christmas pajamas, and essentially almost join into everything that they're doing, because it was so fun to hear about the traditions that they have as family and friends. And the book starts off essentially with May, who has a very big regret, because at the start of the book we're actually at the end of their holidays, and we find out that instead of kissing the person that she's been in love with her whole life, she has kissed his brother. So that is a very difficult predicament for her, because she believes that she won't have a chance with the person she's actually in love with, Andrew, because of what she did. So she makes a wish. She makes a wish which triggers a time loop to happen, where she goes back in time to the start of that holiday and relives that specific holiday until she gets to a point where she will probably feel the happiest. Now, this book, I do have to say, what I liked about it is the Christmas setting. I mean, it really, really made me feel like I was approaching the Christmas period. And like I mentioned, I wanted to do all Christmassy stuff and pick up my mug of hot chocolate, and just made me feel really, really warm and fuzzy inside. And what I also loved is the relationship between May and Andrew, their friendship, which progresses over to a romantic relationship. I really do love the friends to lovers trope, so that one was right up my alley. And yeah, basically those are things that really made me feel so good about the book. Now, what I didn't like about the book is that if you take out the Christmas setting out of it, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. I mean, the biggest part of that feel good feeling about the book is the Christmas setting. And the second thing that I didn't like is the time loop sequence, at least the beginning of it. I couldn't really get into it, maybe because I was listening to the audiobook. I'm not sure whether that's the reason or not, but I couldn't get into the story. It took me quite a bit to get through that part, but once I got a hang of it, it basically made sense to me. Details that didn't make sense at the beginning started to make sense in the end. But that kind of hindered my enjoyment of it in the beginning. I do have to say that I gave this book 3.5 stars. It definitely deserves a high rating, 3.5 to 4 stars. But like I mentioned, I wouldn't give it any more than 3.5, simply because had I taken out the Christmas setting, then I probably would have actually rated it lower. I do recommend it. Please pick it up. It will make you feel good about the holidays. It will make you expect the Christmas traditions and the Christmas feelings. It definitely will make you do that, but just bear in mind that it's not really a wow read. The second book I'm going to talk about is The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Cogan. I do have to say that I didn't look into the synopsis of the book. I also didn't look up the author of the book. I haven't picked up any of her other books yet. And I did figure out at the end, actually, after I finished the book and went in to rate it on Goodreads, I figured out that there is actually a series of books that this author has written that are themed around bookshops. Now, just bear in mind that this is absolutely fine to be read as a standalone. You don't have to read the other books in order to be able to enjoy this one. So let me just go ahead and tell you what this story is about. It is about two sisters, Sophia and Carmen, who are polar opposites. Sophia is the golden child. Carmen is the black sheep of the family. Sophia is absolutely successful in all of the endeavors that she has in her life, while Carmen has always kind of lacked motivation. She hasn't had a steady job, and she hasn't finished university, doesn't have any successful relationships. So at the beginning of the story, Carmen got laid off of her job, and their mother pleads with Sophia to help Carmen get a job. What Sophia does next is try to help two persons at the same time. She wants to help Carmen get a job, and she wants to help one of her clients who owns a bookshop to get like a fresh blood into his a bookshop, to get a fresh perspective so that he can get more successful and have more revenue so he can save his bookshop. There is a romance involved in this story. There are actually two love interests. The first one is called Augie. He's a Brazilian guy. I believe he's a lecturer at the University of Edinburgh, while the second love interest is Blair, who I believe is a famous author. I really loathed Blair. I could not, for the life of me, find the reason why Carmen would like him. I found him obnoxious. If I were to encounter a man like him in my real life, I would absolutely run in the opposite direction. While Augie, I did appreciate as a character, and actually would have loved more to hear, or actually to see development within their relationship, to see more of them within the book. So what I did like about this story is that it was centered around the family dynamics between Carmen, Sophia, Carmen, and Sophia's kids as well. I found that I really enjoyed that. We saw kind of redeeming qualities within the characters, and I also saw that Carmen developed a very nice relationship with the community around the bookshop. So that I did really appreciate. What I didn't like about the book, besides Blair, is the fact that I picked up the audiobook. It really didn't work for me because, first of all, it was read out in third person narration, and sometimes I really couldn't understand whose head I was in. I found it difficult to get into the story at certain times because it was written in third person narration. And the second thing which really grated on my nerves is tell me if I'm the only one who really dislikes when adult people read out books or read out children's voices in a bit of an exaggerated way. I mean, it just doesn't sound realistic. It sounds very forced and very exaggerated, and I really didn't like it. So that really grated on my nerves a lot, because this book essentially is centered around a lot around the relationships between Carmen and her nieces and nephews. So there were a lot of interaction with the kids, and it really got to a point where I didn't enjoy to listen to it at all. And essentially this is why I actually gave a low rating to this book. I gave it only 2 stars because my enjoyment was just at a low point at the end of the book, because of all the factors I just mentioned. I'm really sorry to say that I gave it a low rating, because I did like the cover, I liked the premise of the book, and I did have some themes and tropes that I enjoyed within it. I just couldn't give it more than 2 stars, I'm sorry to say. The third book that I picked up is The Holiday X-Files by Jennifer Peel. And I do have to say that this one is by far my most favorite read that I picked up for this video. It really gave me Christmas vibes. I really enjoyed the relationships within the book. I loved the romance within the book. It was funny, it was witty, it was fast-paced, and I really enjoyed it to the max. Just the most enjoyable read that I had for this specific week of reading. So let me tell you what this story is about. The story is about Cami, who is a photographer, and at the beginning of the book she finds out that her husband Ben is cheating on her. She actually catches him cheating on her in their home under her Christmas tree around the Christmas period. So this kind of really traumatizes her. She, who used to be an absolute cheerleader for all holiday themed things, and all holidays in general, whether it be Halloween, whether it be Christmas, whether it be Thanksgiving. She used to be a real holiday junkie. Now, after this specific traumatizing event, she basically became a recluse. She didn't want to hear anything about the holidays. And the nice original twist within the book is that she started her Holiday X-Files, which essentially means that she put her Photoshop skills to use to cut out her husband out of all of their photos. She posted those photos online together with her story, and that story became viral. And because it became viral, she essentially got a business out of it with her X-Filers, as she calls them. People who send out their pictures of their exes so that she can cut them out. I really liked the premise of the story. It was very original to me. It was both light-hearted, even though the topic was kind of really traumatic for her essentially to read about. I really did love the relationship between her and the love interest. His name is Noah, and he's actually her ex-husband's best friend, which is again something that is very interesting to read about. I love the Christmas vibes. I loved, it's not only Christmas, by the way. You read about Halloween, you read about Thanksgiving, about Christmas, and I love that Noah essentially gets to encourage Cami to find herself first before she embarks into a relationship. I love that he encourages her to find her Christmas and holiday groove back, and that he really appreciates her as a person first before the relationship that they share over the past with her ex-husband and their friendship. I love the tropes within the book. It's friends to lovers, grumpy sunshine. Noah is the total sunshine, while in this situation, because of everything that happened to Cami, she's a bit of a grump, a bit of a recluse. I really love the story. There is only one thing, if I'm going to need to be a bit of a critic towards the story, towards the book, and that is that Cami is a bit clueless to Noah's feelings for her, and in the beginning I can get that that's the situation, but he really hints about his feelings for her quite a bit in the book, and she's totally clueless about it. It does kind of encourage a lot of funny situations, the fact that she's so clueless. But at some point I was like, come on girl, just open your eyes. Don't you see that he's absolutely in love with you? Just open up your eyes and accept that he's the person for you. I just was rooting for them to be together, which is something that is actually very positive. So I do have to say, I rated this book 4.5 stars on Goodreads, but I'm probably going to change it to 5 stars, because now that I'm talking about it, I'm absolutely reliving my enthusiasm and my enjoyment of the book. So I'm probably going to change it to 5 stars. The next book that I read is called The Christmas Wedding Guest by Susan Mallory. Let me tell you, I just picked this book because I simply love the cover. It just looked so stunning to me. It's this, I believe it's a red door with green surrounding it and Christmas lights hung up. And then there is a wedding gown, a beautiful wedding gown, which is hung up on the door. I simply love the cover. And the cover kind of hinted to me that it's going to be surrounding a Christmas wedding. There would be like a secret wedding guest that would be involved within the story because of the title, and that's something that really appealed to me when I was looking to pick up a holiday themed book. So when I started to read it, I found out that it's about two sisters again. It's about Dina and Reggie. Dina essentially is in her 30s. She never found the partner that she's looking for in her life to start a family with, and she really wants to have kids. So what she decided is to go through getting pregnant without a partner. And Reggie, on the other hand, has a different type of story. The year prior to when the story begins, she got engaged, and 2 days after she got proposed to, her fiance broke up with her. So she was a bit traumatized and scarred after that specific event. Now, what brings them together at the beginning of the book is the fact that their mother decides that because she never had a big wedding when she got married to her husband, they eloped, I believe. She decides that they want to renew their vows and have a Christmas themed wedding. So the two sisters come together in their hometown, and we follow their love interests. For Dina, it's Micah, who is a famous rock star, but Dina actually doesn't know that. While for Reggie, it's Toby, who is her high school first love. So for them, it's a second chance romance. And I do have to say, the two stories, I did enjoy the development between Dina and Micah's love story, but it felt a bit too insta-lovey for me. I don't typically like stories which involve insta-love. And regarding Reggie and Toby's relationship, I do love second chance romances. That is one of my favorite tropes. So I was totally invested in their relationship, and I really did love the progression of their relationship within the book. So I did have enjoyment on both fronts. It's just that Dina and Micah's story was a bit too insta-lovey for me. I'm going to say I gave this book 3 stars. Why didn't I rate it higher? Like I mentioned at the beginning of why I picked the book, I told you that I was expecting this magical, wonderful Christmas wedding setting and theme, and like some kind of a surprising Christmas guest, but I didn't get that within the story. Even though there is a wedding which happens within the book, it's not really, the story isn't centered around it. So I was kind of misled, maybe because I didn't read the synopsis, but anyhow, it just impacted my enjoyment of the book. And also, again, I listened to the audiobook for this, and the third person narration also didn't work for me in this specific situation. But I do have to say that I flew through it. I was really, really invested in the two love stories within the book, so I did enjoy it, and I think it does deserve at least 3 stars, 3 to 3.5. I would recommend for you to pick it up because it is enjoyable, but just don't think like I thought that it would be centered around a Christmas wedding. The fifth book that I picked for this video is called Duke, actually, by Jenny Holiday. This was actually going to be the last book for this video, but in the end, I managed to finish a short novella, which I'm going to talk about just shortly after this. Let me just go back to Duke, actually, so I can tell you why I picked it and whether I enjoyed it or not. Duke, actually, I picked again on a spontaneous basis. I just saw that it recently came out in my audio library. I saw that it has a wonderful, like an illustrated cover as well, so I just felt compelled to pick it up. Again, I didn't go into the synopsis, I didn't look through the author's previous books, which was a mistake on my part, because I started to listen to the book and like 20 or 30% in, I was like, I feel like I'm missing a lot. I feel like these people already have developed relationships, have gone through specific things that I'm not aware of, and I'm missing something here. And that's when I stopped listening and went into Goodreads to see whether there is a first book within an installment for this one. And surprise, surprise, that was actually the case. So I was in a bit of a predicament. I had to decide whether I'm going to finish this book or not, because I did feel like I was missing a lot, but I absolutely hate DNFing books. So I decided to pull through. Let me tell you what the story is about. The story is about Max, who is almost a duke. He's going to be a duke soon. And Danny, who is an almost divorcee. She's almost divorced. And the love story revolves around those two characters. Essentially, they had met in the first book when I didn't get to know them, unfortunately. And they already had a bit of a friendship formed at the start of the book. This book is a friends to lovers trope with a bit of a slow burn aspect to it. Actually, not a bit, but a lot of a slow burn aspect to it. And I have to say that I liked the witty banter between the two characters. I liked the setting of it. I really did enjoy the characters. I loved Max and Danny. But I have to say that probably because I didn't pick up the first book first, I didn't get a maximum enjoyment out of the book. I probably would have rated it higher had I read the first book. And also the slow burn was a bit too slow for me. Essentially, it felt like at some point there were bound to remain friends, or I don't know how to say it, but it just didn't feel like the point was going to come when they would actually act within the feelings that they have. So that's why I gave this book 3 stars. I do encourage you to pick it up, but probably it would be a better idea if you pick up the first book and then read the second book. I'm absolutely convinced that it will probably be at least a 4-star read if you do it in that way. I gave it 3 stars because I couldn't fully enjoy it, because I missed a lot of the details, but I do encourage you to read the full series so that you can probably tell me whether it's better than 3 stars. The last book I'm going to talk about is A Catalina Cove Christmas by Brenda Jackson. This novella is part of a series, the Catalina Cove series by Brenda Jackson, and I do have to say that you don't need to read the other books in order to be able to enjoy this one. Brenda Jackson did a wonderful job of creating enough background and enough character development so that you can follow through the dilemma of the characters and get to know them a little bit so you can enjoy the story. At least I was able to do so. The story is the second chance romance between Isaac and Donna. Those two were married but are actually divorced at the start of the book, and we actually get to know there is two settings, so the past setting and the future setting within the novella. And we get to know how they fell in love, but we also get to know why they were driven apart. And essentially they are reunited because there is a Christmas reunion at their high school where they actually met. And we follow their reunion essentially, and whether they will get back together or not. I absolutely love this novella because I flew through it. I was really invested in the characters, even though it was shorter than a full novel. I was invested in their relationship, in the fact that they were having marital problems, and how and why they wanted to get through them, and whether they would get through them. I absolutely loved Isaac, and he's just such a supportive husband and such a wonderful male example of how a man should behave within a marriage. I just absolutely loved him. And I did appreciate Donna's struggle within her marriage, why she had difficulties within her marriage. I appreciate it. I just don't want to give too much away. That's why I'm trying to avoid what her troubles are within the book, so you can go ahead and pick it up. And yeah, I absolutely love the story. There was top-notch spice in it as well, so I really love that as well. And my enjoyment was absolutely to the max. I gave this book 4 stars, and that is simply because it's a novella. I really have to have like a wow factor within the book to give it 5 stars. This didn't really have it for me, but it absolutely is worth your time, so you should definitely pick it up. With that being said, we've come to an end to this recommendation video. I do hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you found a nice recommendation to add to your TBR and to enjoy over the holiday period. And I really hope that you like my video. I hope that you can click the like button, that you will subscribe to my channel to follow the future development of it. Please find my Bookstagram page. I'll link it down below. And please bear with me while I get better at this. This is my first video. I hope that there will be many in the future as well. And keep your fingers crossed for the editing process. This will be something new for me as well. If you have any tips and tricks, please leave them in the comment box. And I do hope to see you very soon. Take care and happy reading.